Hey everyone, you're watching Ash on Comics. My name is Ash. Here's some comics. Yeah, Detective Comics. Starting at 988 through 992. This is James Robinson's run. This is a run right after Brian Hill's run, which is a hard act to follow. This is also a filler run. Starting after the newest issue here, Tomasi takes over, and we're all looking forward to that. Now, I read these 3 issues, the first 3, and I did reviews on them. I only started collecting Detective Comics because of Brian Hill's run. I was only going to buy his run, but he did a good job, and I was interested, and I was like, you know what, let me just pick up the next issue as well, see what it's like. And I liked what Robinson was doing with it. You can see the reviews of all 3 of these comics on my channel. But then I didn't really lose interest, but I wasn't super hyped on the book, so I got behind. And I was 3 books behind. But I was still buying the books. And hadn't done reviews. And I was like, you know what, I got 1 book behind. I was like, I'll just wait till the 3rd book comes out and I'll do reviews of all 3. And then I started seeing some other reviewers, specifically Tristan from Nerdette's Nerd Shack, just kidding, Nerdette's Newsstand, trash this book and make a review saying she was like done with Batman or whatever. I was like, holy crap, like these books weren't that bad. I can't see it devolving that much, you know. I mean, I read Bendis's Man of Steel and I've seen a good book go to trash, but still I picked up Superman. So I was really curious to see like what was going on. So I read these books and I gotta tell you, it was a bit of a chore. This book, 991, wasn't so bad. The art style changed. Let's see, we had Segovia doing the first 3 books. And then this new guy, Gian Domenico. I'm sure I'm butchering that. I apologize. The art style changed, but I didn't mind it. I thought it had a very movie feel to it. Just the aesthetic, the way the artist envisioned the shots felt very much the way like a cinematographer would. Less so than a comic book. It didn't feel like dynamic comic booky, but it felt very movie-like. I didn't like that this guy strongly appears to be a computer artist, so much that like it stands out at points, and I'll try to remember to cover those. But look at this, like this is I really loved this shot when I was reading this. We start off, Batman and Two-Face are talking. They're working it out. They're going to be a team. We see a nice, cool shot of Gordon behind the wheel, driving hard and fast. You go, Jim. And then it pans out to here. I love these establishing shots. And you can see down here the chase. This is something I could just see, like a camera pulling out. Big aerial shot in a car. Yeah. This is really cool. I'm not going to go through since it's 3 books here, I'm not going to go through like I normally do page by page. I'm kind of going to flip through and see if there's anything that I remember standing out to me. The one problem I had with this book, or these 3 issues in particular, the final 3, was that it just sort of wore out its welcome. The first 3 issues were like this mystery. You had the Fireflies. You knew Two-Face was involved a little bit at some point, but you didn't know why, and you were like kind of hooked. Once Two-Face gets involved fully, oh God. Look, whenever you think a comic's bad, just go read a Bendis book, and then you realize, hey, it's not so bad after all. Where was I? The book was kind of wearing out its welcome, and it just started becoming this like long, drawn-out, very verbose story. This issue in particular wasn't quite that bad, but it was like starting down that path. Just a lot of blah, 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 you know. I should have noted down an example page because I remember I was reading through these and I was like, oh, I got to talk about this page. Here's another cool shot. Just the Batmobile zooming down the highway. There's this nice motion blur that, I complain about computer art, but you can kind of only really achieve that with computer art. At least I think you can. We got Two-Face out the window with his guns. It's just a pretty neat shot. So that was 991. 992 literally put me to sleep. And I can't put my finger on why, other than, like I said, it was just really verbose and like just wearing out its welcome. It just wasn't getting to the point. I think, honestly, it's because Robinson was tasked to do 6 issues of filler. And if I had to guess, this is a complete novice guess, but if I had to guess, DC came to him, said, hey, we need you to do a Batman story, 6 issues. What can you give us? Oh, I got this idea. I'm tossing around. Okay. Stretch it out to 6 issues, I feel like this story could have been 3 to 4 issues. Or 6 issues if he had longer to plan it and maybe put more stuff. It just feels stretched. And you're just like, oh, the point is not coming, and there's not a reason why. Cool, another cool one of those shots. Batman, Two-Face. The book is not offensively bad by any means. I think this is one of those pages. All right, so no, I paused it to check. This is an example of kind of a verbose scene, but it's not the offensively bad one that I was thinking of, which I've just said the book wasn't offensively bad. The book's not. It just feels like a fluff, like, oh, we gotta, like you're watching maybe a TV show, and then they have those few episodes where it's like just a filler episode, doesn't really do much, but they just need to get their episode count up to however many, they're signed up for. And it's like, this is one of those things. It's like not enough to like make you quit the comics, especially since it's essentially a 6-issue miniseries, and then Tomasi's taking over. If Robinson was staying on, then you might go, I'm not going to continue. But I was okay. Like I said, even though I did nod off a couple times when I was reading this, I actually had to like pick up the book the next day. It just wasn't going anywhere. And the artist is doing their best to do some cool. They're in a museum, big dinosaur crashing down on Batman and Cobra guys. Not my favorite aesthetic, artist, but I kind of like what he's doing here. It really fits Batman. The grittiness. I don't know why, but like you can get away with like muddy drawing of a Batman book, but you put him in anything else. Like you put this guy in Flash, and all of a sudden you're like, ugh. I don't know. Maybe it's Frank Miller that allowed that. So I'm just kind of giving you an overview as I talk about this book. This one was a hard one to get through. And here is the offensive part. It's a 2-page, well, it's kind of like a 2-page splash. It's a 2-page, 4-panel splash here. Look at this. Like, it's supposed to convey, like, the action, right? You're getting into the scene. Alfred's like, well, even an alien Cobra is still a threat. Gosh darn it, dogs. But from what I can glean, I'm going to read this to you. Honestly, you're going to be bored, but I need you to just understand the pain I went through. Remember, Alfred's still talking here. But from what I can glean, just as you and Mr. Dent lay in wait after the museum gala that was canceled and everyone was evacuated, so too did Gotham Grand Station, devoid of people, made the perfect arena for Katana and Black Lightning. With the time they fought and trained together as outsiders working greatly in our favor, Katana especially seemed most joyful, by all accounts, as she met the Black Adders in battle. Miss Cassandra, too, the orphan, she is, as she's now known, proved an ample and able opponent for the Black Adders. And Miss Gordon, Batgirl, ably handled the rest of the Cobra force deployed at the aerial location. To wit, the anthrax-filled airship that the Cobras intended to explode over the city did nothing of the kind, and when last sighted, they were heading out to sea. Our expected addition to tonight's Defenders of Gotham, thanks to Master Dent's insistence, the Fireflies, actually fared better than we'd hoped. They aren't the tidiest with their flame, that is to say, Robinson Park may have lost a couple of trees. But keeping them to an open-air location, the evacuated theater on the green, in this instance, well, let's just say that at least Mr. Carson and Miss Pike didn't embarrass themselves. There's Batman. Good. And what about the Signal and Batwoman? Oh, well, they had quite an evening. Against the fervent advice of both Master Duke and myself, Miss Kane thought letting all the animals out might work to her advantage. And indeed, it appears to have helped the battle against the Cobras, although the zoo staff will certainly have their work cut out for them when they return in the morning. Then unless the data I'll get momentarily says otherwise, we're done with Batman? Harvey. Okay, so you can see, like, I even tried to, like, read that fast. Now, when I read, personally, I don't know about you, I don't speed read. I read dialogue like as if it were being acted out and spoken in normal time. And I know a lot of people will speed read in their head and be able to process words way faster, and they can blow through a comic. I can actually make a comic last 20, 30 minutes because of this. These pages took eons. Like, I was just like, and here you are, like, action scene, but your eyes is focused on this, and then you're like, whoa, is that there's something going on? Boring. Like, these 2 pages sum up really all the complaints of this end of the series. It's just monotonous. And again, but it's not bad. There's no cutesy feeling thing. There's nothing offensive. You didn't see Batman making stupid jokes about how he's in the toilet or something like you see in other people's books. You don't see, like, in Bendis' books where he's giving, like, a smile and thumbs up thing to Clark. Oh, see my other Action Comics review. I think it's 1003 for that. It's such a joke. You're not insulted as a fan going, what the F did you do to my character? Like, this feels like Batman. It feels like a Batman story. It's just a very slow, monotonous one. The art is worth watching or viewing. It's like it's good looking. Really, the colors, I think, make it stand out. I really like the colors. The camera here is not making it look good. Yeah. Oh, there's this dreadful. I wish I was reviewing this book by itself because I would take the time to go through and do this. Here's how not to preview a book. It's Kelly Sue DeConnick. This book is, I mean, the art is kind of nice. And it's like, oh, cool, Aquaman's in the water. He's helping someone who's drowning. Oh, okay. Except Aquaman, apparently he's got amnesia. Doesn't remember he can breathe underwater. So he's like, oh, no, I can't help the guy. He's got to throw him a rope from shore. And people are like, oh, help him. Here's a rope. Okay, so drowning victims grabs the rope. And they pull him in. Ah ha ha, you saved. Yay. And why the ocean, apparently the fish are dying. Ocean is chosen champion. That's the preview of him just throwing a rope and saving some dude. That, you want to talk about boring. This is not what you and try to entice me to convince me, oh, I think Kelly Sue DeConnick's going to bring a really boring Aquaman story. No, here's this preview. Look what she has in store. What, 4 or 5 pages of Aquaman saving a drowning guy with a rope? Anyways, yeah, that's a tangent we don't want to go down. All right, final issue. Down the home stretch. Now, fortunately, that penultimate issue was the worst. So, like, this picked back up, and it was a really interesting take on what James Robinson did here with the story. It leaves off kind of with a cliffhanger. Remind you here, they've discovered, he's working with Two-Face and Gordon, and they discover that that's another thing I should have pointed out. This plot in this book is ripped out of Batman Begins. Cobra has got this poison. They're going to poison the Gotham water supply and make everyone mind controlled to Cobra. Right? All of Gotham will become Cobra. Next, death of Harvey Dent? Oh, okay. I mean, it's going to be a big climactic fight and Harvey's going to die. We'll see. So James took an interesting twist here. And this is going to be a bit of a spoiler if you are interested in this series at all. And it's not terrible. The first 3 issues were really good. 4th and 5th issue kind of took a dip. This one picked up, but in a weird way that I didn't expect. It picks up at the end. This is the end of the story. Near the end of the story. We're in the future, slightly, a few days or whatever, and they're at Harvey Dent's funeral. Wait, why are they at Harvey Dent's funeral? We just saw Harvey Dent. Because, like I said, a few days, he's dead, and basically this story is a recap of what happened. So there's a nice big funeral scene. Here they are over there. Now, when I was talking to you before about the computer drawing, take a look at these tombstones. Tell me what you see. All right, well, I can't hear you, but what I see, look at these mostly vertical lines that are angled. Those jaggies, those are called jaggies. That's a terminology for computer graphics so computers can't draw angled lines. So they draw they do this little stair stepping. And then graphics processing, they can do things to smooth out those lines to trick your eyes. And with high enough resolution, you can't see it often. This is a case where you can see it really clear. And it just stood out to me. And I was like, well, come on, dude. This is total computer graphic. You probably just drew one tombstone and was like, cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste. I remember the old days when comics were just drawn. I think this probably was drawn. You can kind of really see a contrast. But whatever. I'm nitpicking here. That's going to be your subjective taste, whether you like it or not. I really do like these Cobra-looking guys. They look freaking sick. So as much as I can complain about the artist, his design for these bad guys looks really cool, and he's got ability to draw machinery, which a lot of comic book artists can't do. So hats off to that. Oh God, what? Why is DC doing scary? More scary. No, Bendis, I hate you. All right. So, anyways, they're recapping what had happened. So you're reading basically they're at their funeral, and then this is all of what led up to that. And I thought that was an interesting way to do it. Oh, this looks cool. Robert Venditti. Okay, you're a pro. Okay, I'm stoked for this. Oh, Brian Hill, another pro. Okay, pause for a second. Is it just you or is it just me? It's probably just me. I think this book should have just been called The Outsiders, right? Yes, I get it's Batman. Batman's going to sell books. You can put Batman on the cover. I honestly think that should be about The Outsiders, and that Batman should just make cameos now and then to be their mentor. I don't like Batman the Outsiders. Same as I hate Red Hood and the Outlaws. I really wish that book would have just been called The Outlaws. And they would have kept it a team book. I think that was really cool. Anyways, that's just me. So, they fight Cobra essentially, and there's got to stop the water from getting in, and they do. And there's a big explosion because the whole thing is the water, the toxin is susceptible to heat. Heat will kill the toxin, and they have to stop before it gets in the water because once it's in the water, it's too late. So Two-Face is off by himself. He finds the thing, and he's like, Batman, I found it. We got to take action. They're about to put it in the water, and Batman's like, no, wait for me. And he's like, there's no time. And he shoots this valve thing, blows it up, and you can see here, just much carnage. And so Two-Face is dead because he killed himself blowing that up. So we get back to the scene, and here's that movie. I don't know. This really evoked the Nolan Batman films to me when I was looking at this. And then the shot of the city. And then I like this long shot of Bruce Wayne at the office. He's on a phone call with Alfred there. And this, see, like the way this is shot, this is just very much like the movies. And I was liking it. There's no complaints there. And I actually was into this issue. It wasn't like exciting. Like, it wasn't like, oh, but I was like, okay, I'm enjoying hearing this is essentially kind of like an epilogue, like what happened. And Batman, he's basically he spills the beans to Alfred there that he thinks Two-Face isn't actually dead. He was just playing along. That's why he was at the thing. And so, sure enough, Two-Face was. And Batman shows up and confronts him at the airport. And, they have this big hero-villain monologues, blah, 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 so typical of comics. How'd you know it was me? How'd you know? And Batman explains how he figured it all out. And he tells him how he got rid of his goons. And he talks to the Firefly guys. And he's like, hey, you guys have been making a lot of bad choices. Basically, why don't you make a good choice for once and let you get out of here? And they're like, yeah, I'm out of here. See ya. And Two-Face is like, yeah, I can't even blame you. I'd have done the same thing. So then it's just Batman and Two-Face. This is a cool shot. Batman's up, silhouetted in the sun. Two-Face is down, looking up at him. And then you reverse the shot, and Two-Face whips out his guns. He's like, there, both my sides, perfectly distilled. Be that as it may. It says, I'm glad you're alive, Harvey. And he dives down at him, and then Harvey's like, me too, Batman. Me too. And shooting up at him, and then that's it. And this I thought was a neat ending. Comic books don't normally have stories end in this sort of ambiguous way. Obviously, Batman's not going to die from Two-Face, and they're obviously not going to do the resolution like, ooh, what happened? There's no point. This is sort of like the end. Was it the end of Rocky 2? Or no, one of the Rocky movies where it's like at the very end, they're like in Rocky's home gym or whatever in the thing, and he's like, you owe me a fight, or whatever, and they end up fighting, and then the movie ends like right as they're both about to hit each other. That was a cool ending. I like this kind of evoked the same type of thing of they're just two guys going at each other, and then cut to credits. So it ended up on an up note, which is always good. You don't want your last issue, Bendis, take note. You don't want your last issue to be your worst. But I can now see why some people were bad. And this is the culprit right here. The second to last issue was just like on and on and on and on and on. These 3 issues probably could have been condensed into 1 or 2, like I was saying before. This has been a long review. It's been 3 books. I didn't mean to take this long. I really meant to blow through it. I wanted to give you an overview of the stories. And it's These are the kind of crappy reviews I hate doing because they're just meh. So I can't really recommend this, but I don't not recommend it. I recommended the first 3 issues, so I think if you're already in, then I would recommend. If you're not in any investment, skip it. Don't trade weight it unless you find the trade for like nothing. This storyline is a filler storyline, so it doesn't like continue any like ongoing thing. So sometimes I say like put up with the story because you've been following along, and it's like, well, this is a downer, but it's still part of the saga. This is an independent story that affects the continuity none. So you don't need to follow this. You can completely skip it. You'll not miss out on the Batman mythos whatsoever. And it's not really entertaining enough to say spend money. I mean, I spent $25 on this. Yeah, when you think about it in that way, it's just not worth $25. If you can get a trade for $5, maybe it'll entertain you. Yeah, if you're a big Batman fan, okay. I don't think it's offensive the way Tristan was. I'm not like, oh my God, I'm quitting Batman. Tristan, if you're watching this, you overreacted. Come on, admit it. You got a little emotional. You're a little bit sensitive about your boy Bruce here, and I get it. You want to see him be treated like gold, but sometimes you're in between writers. You got to call in some emergency guy. He's got to come off the bench and he's cold. He doesn't have the best story, ready to go. You just got to put up with that a little bit. Be a little forgiving. Come on, it's Christmas. All right. Thanks for watching this. Now you know my feelings on it. I can't wait till Tomasi. Bring it on.